Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to a moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Coming up next in our Trailblazers segment, brought to you by Your Home TV and our friends over at Kathy Ireland Worldwide. Today, we're featuring radio and DJ personality Wendy Wild. Currently heard middays only right here on iHeart's very own 103.5 KTU, the beat of New York. Wendy also lends her voice to My 99.5 in Salt Lake City and Kiss 107.9 in Sacramento. In addition, Wendy's What's Up with Wendy segment airs weekends on The Weekend Throwdown with Jagger, which is a nationally syndicated program with approximately 35 affiliates and counting. She provides various voiceovers for commercials, promos, and programs such as the Weekend Top 30 Countdown. Now, while not on the air or podcasting, Wendy loves honing her skills on the aerial silks and hammock. She's also an avid portrait photographer. You can check out her work on the gram. Incredible stuff. Today, she joins me to chat about life as a radio DJ personality, her passion for aerial silks and photography, awareness and advocacy to overcoming anxiety, and finding a path to happiness. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Wendy Wild. Welcome, Stunner.
Hi, what an intro. How do we even top that? That is incredible.
You are incredible. That's why the intro was so amazing.
Oh, Zen, thank you for having me. This is such a cool experience. Thank you.
Well, you are at the top of your game, my darling. Can you tell us about your journey into the world of radio and how you found your niche as a DJ and personality?
Well, you know what? I was always like kind of a weird kid, and I had this I have a lot of hyper focuses. Like when I find a hobby that I truly love, I go all in. So I was a little kid, and I really I was, with my little radio, and I kind of knew, just even getting into college, not even coming out, that was what I wanted to do. So right out of high school, it was an internship, and then about 2 months later, I was working for the radio station. So I was simultaneously going to college and also working at my local radio station, and just kind of worked my way up from there.
Amazing. Now, can you walk us through and talk to us about a typical day in your life from basically preparing for your radio shows to preparing your hobbies and your advocacy work? I know that you're involved in so much.
Thank you. Well, day to day is, you never really know what you're going to get because you're in this world too, right, Zen? So every day, it really depends on what the news cycle is. Now, for a radio show like mine, it's going to typically be something that's lighter hearted. We don't really touch upon the hard news. We try our best to keep things local, so we're always kind of watching the local news sources to see what's going on in our areas, trying to look for fun things that our listeners might want to get involved with. So that's kind of how my day starts, usually with coffee. And I do my prep and just kind of get things ready. And as you mentioned before, I also am on in Sacramento and Salt Lake City. So my local news branches out to those cities as well. So I'm doing that and prepping and then we just kind of talk and it's really cool to be able to check in with listeners throughout their day and be a companion, be a friend, and do it together.
Wow, you do a lot and you are so much for so many people. And outside of radio, you're I know that you're passionate about your aerial silks and your hammock work. How did you discover this interest?
It's funny. I was a little kid, and I think I started gymnastics when I was 3. So it was, I was a hypermobile kid. I had shoulders that were very flexible, and I think that was just the answer for my family to put me in gymnastics. So it's kind of all I knew. But at that time, I did not know about circus arts. But when I discovered in the early 2000s that you could fly from a trapeze, or my nana calls it climbing the curtains, which is the aerial silks. I was like, "Wow, this is it. This is for me." And it really translated quite nicely from gymnastics. And, we won't say how old I am, but, it's pretty cool that, at the age that I am now, I feel like I am probably the best at it that I have been, if that makes sense.
You are totally incredible. I watch you on Instagram and I'm
Thank
like this
you.
goddess, this
Well, I know
beautiful
you're
body, this
you're really into
amazing.
all sorts of extreme sports too. Maybe we'll get you into a class.
Oh, I'm so excited. Let's do it. Now, when we talk about overcoming anxiety, with you in particular, What are some effective strategies that you recommend for individuals struggling with anxiety to find their path to happiness?
So that's such a good question. I only recently learned that I am likely neurodivergent. And what's really funny is if, just only maybe 10, 15 years ago, you go to call up a doctor and try to get a diagnosis, you know what they say to you? They say, "How old is your child?" Right? There's really not a lot of resources out there for people our age, and we're learning that there are all different types of brains out there that learn very differently. And, say if you happen to be on the autism spectrum, that can cause anxiety just in the way that the world is designed for people who are neurotypical out there. So I would say that knowledge is really everything. If you think that you might identify, maybe as having ADHD or, whatever it is, learning as much as you can about it, knowing that there's some things that are actually superpowers. Like for me, I know that I will go into hyper focus mode and I am able to get work done so fast at a speed that is like really intense, compared to some of my peers. I'm able to learn information. I may forget to go to the bathroom or to drink water, but being aware of that kind of situation, it really helps. And I think it really does help you to manage anxiety by not pretending to be something you're not. I will
I couldn't agree more.
Whereas I used to not be able to hear I used to not be able to hear people very well. Nothing wrong with my ears, but if there was other noises in the room. So now, we were actually set to have a sales meeting not long ago, and there was, like, background noise, and I said, "Excuse me," I'm like, "Would you mind if we move this meeting, like, down the hall?" And I try to make these arrangements for myself to make sure that I'm doing the best for me and knowing that I won't get overwhelmed or overstimulated, and it's okay. And it's okay to tell people too.
And being your own advocate is really the best line of defense.
Yeah.
Now, what are when we talk about, anxiety, mindfulness practices, cognitive reconstructing, and self-compassion are of course key strategies. Now, what strategies or coping mechanisms do you find helpful?
I find it helpful, like you said, to advocate for yourself. If you need some sort of arrangement to make your work or your daily life a little bit easier, then speak up and ask for it. I think people are really understanding, and it's so interesting how different traits of anxiety and other, related issues can present differently in different people. For instance, like when what we're now learning about ADHD is that, if you're not a 10-year-old hyperactive boy, it doesn't mean that you don't have it. So, we're learning so much. I think also what's important is making time for the things that you love. And, you know, especially with ADHD, you tend to really, be good at things that you love. So if you make that time for it, you'll be motivated to get yourself through the day.
And keep going.
Keep
Now
going.
let's chat aerial silks, the movement and discipline and how pivotal of a role it has been in managing your mental health. So as we know, dance and movement can help individuals with anxiety and or autism in various ways, and emotional expression we know is key. So the aerial silks offers a unique channel for emotional expression. It can help with some sensory regulations to my understanding. So
Yep.
I know this reduces anxiety for you, it promotes relaxation and promotes focus. How have the aerial silks and the hammock helped you?
Wow. Well, for one, there's a sense of community, which is really nice. Everyone's kind of at a different stage in their aerial journey, but I have found such an amazing group of people. And it's funny because we all seem to be like very similar, very like minded. There's something about being able to conquer a skill and, just knowing that there's something that you haven't been able to do. Maybe it took you a couple months to be able to lock down this skill, and it just a sense of accomplishment, which is really amazing. And it's a really fun way to express yourself too, because one move doesn't look the same. I might find something different to do with my hand, and it's just a fun. It's like dance, people who are dancers will tell you the same thing, that it's not just about knowing the steps; it's about the way that you make it yours, and it's art, and it's fun. It's fun to hang upside down. It really is.
I love that you love being a bat. Now,
Basically,
finally,
I'm a bat.
you're a bat. Now, finally, what would your key message be to those who are currently struggling with anxiety, going through life transitions, kind of really feeling awkward in their own self?
Don't hide it. Don't hide it at all, and if you have that good friend, you you would be surprised at how much people can relate to you, and, like, we're kind of all going through this journey together. I think, just being authentically you, leaving time for yourself, finding things that you enjoy, just trying out different things, like, something's gonna click. I think I'm a firm believer in me time. You know, if that means reading for you or crafting, whatever it is, like, all these things can help. Like, giving yourself one thing to look forward to every day. That's kinda like my motto. Just leaving some time for the things.
You are such
Snuggling
a
with the cat.
you're such a bright light, Wendy. Oh my goodness, I
Oh.
love speaking to you. You are so transparent and easy to talk to, and this was such an incredible interview. Now, seeing you in the halls of iHeart Radio headquarters in Midtown Manhattan is going to make it so much more bearable when we just have the workload ahead of us. But I've now found a friend in you and a lot of
Oh.
commonalities. Thank you for being you.
Thank you for being you, and thanks for having me.
Big shout out to Wendy Wild and definitely check her out right here on iHeart's very own. That was our Trailblazer segment brought to you by Your Home TV and our friends over at Kathy Ireland Worldwide. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. Do check her out on the gram at Wendy Wild Radio, also on Instagram and TikTok. We'll be right back after this.